Hey everyone! Alright, so we are here. We are the creators of H.U.U, Sam and Alex, and we have a very interesting topic today for this podcast. It is slime versus blue slime. Is there a winner? And this came up because of our versus video, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were writing the script for the slime versus blue slime video, which will be our third one.
And this is actually the verdict of it.
Because we couldn't actually decide on a winner, so we decided that this in itself, this just category, deserves its own video just in itself. So we decided to make this podcast.
It's actually really interesting how the verdict is actually up for debate. That kind of shows that we made very evenly matched characters, yet they're both really different.
Yeah.
Like, thinking about this, they're both really different. They both fight with their own abilities, they both fight differently and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it really depends on the situation. And so that's really interesting. And the thing is that Harry Walker and Alex Peterson, Slime and Blue Slime, they have the same training. They've known each other their entire lives, so they can't do any kind of psychological mind games.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Slime has his slime balls, and Blue Slime has his multiplication. Thing is that slime balls won't really do anything against one of Blue Slime. They might do something against the multiple Blue Slimes.
Right.
Basically devoiding each of the abilities.
But if anything, slime balls will only slow slime down, because it does take a fair amount of time for him to produce slime balls.
Yeah, he has to kind of do a wind up and then throw it.
Right. When on the other end of the spectrum, we've got Blue Slime, who I wouldn't say he takes time to multiply. It's almost instantaneous, but he does lose a fair amount of his stamina, which he can't afford to lose.
It'll make him weaker and everything.
Their healing factors are just too even. If he sacrifices even a little bit of his stamina, then it's over, because they can just keep healing.
Yeah, and this is mentioned in the Versus video, that Slime has a bunch of gear that he has, and one of them is a Sonic Outburst device. The Sonic Outburst device, I thought of this a little while ago. It's a little interesting. So what it does is basically, it's kind of like Battlesuit's Sonic Outburst, except it's not designed for flight. It's only designed as a weapon. And so he made this for the villain Poison, because they could take him out.
Who's also a slime.
Yeah, he has slime powers. But the thing is that it's really dangerous to anyone with slime powers. So
including slime.
Including slime, including Blue Slime. So if you try to use this on Blue Slime, he has to be very precise. And that means that if he's attacked from behind, then it could take him out, or if Blue Slime's nearby, it could take them both out.
A number of things could go wrong. It's a huge variable, and quite possibly the only variable in this fight.
It is a giant risk.
They both know each other's powers extremely well, and they both know that they both have superhuman endurance levels and stamina, so they both know they can't afford to use their primary abilities unless, well, that goes into the situation. It's just as the Sonic Outburst thing does, because, well, if the city is populated that they're in, then he probably wouldn't risk
It's a little bit too dangerous because it might hurt someone else or whatever. So it's very situational, and it's very up for debate, which is, we actually thought was really interesting. We were deciding who's really going to win this fight. We don't actually know. Luckily, they're both good guys, so we might have to actually work with this in the comics, but it's still something that's extremely interesting. So yeah, and I mean, as we said, it's situational, especially with the Sonic Outburst. I mean, well, he has all the gear though.
Mm-hmm.
He's got almost like a lightsaber. It's not really doing anything to Blue Slime though.
Right, because he can just use his healing factor. He has a freeze ray. The only other thing that I can really see harming Blue Slime is the freeze ray, which could actually end the fight outright. But
it's a short-range freeze ray, and it takes like 2 seconds to load up and everything.
On top of that, it doesn't have very good range, and this is Blue Slime we're talking about. I mean, sure, Slime might be slightly more agile, but I don't see Blue Slime getting hit by something like that.
No, he's not going to be able to sit still long enough for him to actually be affected by that.
Right. He'd have to be backed into a corner for that to work, which is, again, situational, and this is Blue Slime
very difficult to do.
Yeah.
You can't just easily get that to happen.
I could see someone like maybe Vision or Osmar doing it, but even then it would be very unlikely.
Yeah, it would be very situational. Slime, very, very difficult.
Slime just isn't a large enough presence. He isn't a menacing presence. He can't intimidate Blue Slime into a corner.
Yeah. So because of this, I mean, we realize that this is probably very controversial for some people if they're trying to figure out who's going to win, because there isn't exactly right answer. It's like one of these philosophical ninja questions.
Yes.
Like, there's no right answer, which is just ridiculous.
So what we're going to do is offer some situations and show or compare how their abilities stack up in given environments, and then we're going to have you guys decide who the real winner is here.
Alright, so it looks like our first one up is a flatland. So maybe like a desert or just like a big plain.
It could even be
no buildings, nothing.
It could be a fictional area. It could be just like
it could be another planet, it could be on anything.
Flat.
Just some big flat area.
Yes, lots of open space, no mountains or anything, just completely flat.
Just flat with the ground below you.
Right.
That's it. So, yeah, and this one, slime is a little bit at a disadvantage because one of his big evade abilities is really just to swing around and get to a higher vantage point. So in a flat area, it's a lot harder for him to do that. He can't really evade as easily. He's just going to be reduced to just melting down or doing like flips or backflips or whatever. So it's a lot harder for him to dodge in that kind of sense. So he loses his big vantage point. He loses a lot. But other than that, he's not really at a disadvantage. Otherwise, it's still normal. He can still use the Sonic Outburst if he has a good shot, which most likely won't happen. But hey,
But there's no people around in this place. It's just completely barren. So he'd have no reason not to use it. But the only reason correct me if I'm wrong, but Slime's biggest advantage on the battlefield, I guess, is his agility. Correct?
Yes.
The same goes for Blue Slime, and to have that taken away from Slime is a serious blow.
It's not necessarily taken away, but it's more like reduced by a lot, which, it still has a huge effect, yes.
It has a huge effect, which is not really there for Blue Slime, who's actually more suited in a grounded environment.
Then he can just multiply out and multiply
out.
Exactly.
He has more room to create copies of himself. Not that he'd probably use it, but he has more room if need be. No place for him to get cornered. The freeze ray will be of no effect.
Yeah, and then it's just like a mono fist fight.
It's a fist fight, which is where Alex excels.
Yeah, because he's a bit stronger, and if he's all together, he can probably do a lot of damage in Slime.
That's not to say he could win in a fist fight, seeing as Slime does keep
healing.
He keeps healing
ridiculous.
So does Blue Slime, and they're relatively equal.
To be honest, sometimes I wonder why I decided I'm going to give Slime such a big healing factor, because then all of a sudden I realized that in fights like this, he just heals back from it.
You have to be creative to beat him.
Exactly.
Which Blue Slime is capable of being.
Yeah, that's very true. So Flatland, I would honestly say Blue Slime has an advantage in that one.
I agree.
Yeah. It would still be extremely tough for him to win.
It would come down to a massive endurance run. It would it would be a marathon.
It might even go on for days.
Oh, absolutely. I have no question.
It'd probably be the first one to starve to death.
Yes. By the end of it, it'll just come down to natural causes. Who would last longer, which would go to Blue Slime since he's more athletic than Slime.
Yeah, the thing is that Slime, he does not come from athletic backgrounds, so the Slime Serum was really the first time where he actually got to be active and everything. But Blue Slime has a lot more experience with that.
Mm-hmm. So the thing is, training his whole life. He used to be a track and field runner.
Right, but then and if it is a matter of who starves first, then there's also the situation of who ate last.
Right.
But as
an athlete, he does. Although that does weaken his metabolism, I guess.
But the thing is, he'd be able to handle it.
Yes, he would have better control over that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So I would say that Blue Slime has an advantage, but not necessarily he could win.
Yeah, it's still a toss-up. It's like a 5.1 out of 10 for him, but still a win.
Yeah, it's a toss-up still, but he has an advantage.
So we'll give that to him. So that's the first one goes to Blue Slime.
All right, so the second one we have, this one's a bit interesting, is a populated city. This one, so basically it's like imagine New York or something like that. Huge towers and everything, and just hundreds upon thousands of people. that are in the way. So you really have to be worried that they might get hurt, especially because these two guys are both heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So
they
slip
wouldn't
up
want
from either one of them.
Yeah, they both care very dearly about others.
Yeah, I mean, and neither of them want a single person to die. If one of them does get hurt, like if a single person walking down the street gets hurt, then they could all of a sudden feel emotionally hurt, and that's the end of them.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's really interesting. Obviously, because of the city, Slime has an advantage because he can get better vantage points. It's a little bit easier for him to use the Sonic Outburst device. But the thing is,
he's got people in the way.
He's got people, so he needs to make sure that he can get into a vantage point without people, which is extremely difficult in New York. Like, I don't think there's a single vantage point except for like mid-air.
Keep in mind that this is not New York we're fighting. This is the future.
Yeah.
So it's more populated. Humanity's been getting more and more populated.
Probably there are people walking around like on their smartphones or whatever, not even paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so
they're just not caring.
Yeah, so they're just not even caring about this. So they could be knocked out in a second and they wouldn't even realize it. So they need to really watch out. So yeah, for Slime to actually win this, he would need to catch Blue Slime in an area where there's no people, which would really be the best thing to do for him, would actually be to bring him onto a rooftop.
Right.
Which that's hard.
Right.
That is hard.
That's like, yeah.
That's hard.
I can't really see that happening with Blue Slime.
Yeah.
For the same reasons that he could just evade Slime and Flatland.
Right.
But,
You'd have to be able to swing him up to a rooftop, jump off the rooftop, swing back, so he gets really high up, and then use it. Thing is that there's so many opportunities there for Blue Slime to just evade and strike back at Slime. So
yes.
It is so hard.
That's absolutely true. But Blue Slime would not have a lot of room to multiply in a city that populated. Yes. And Slime would have the advantage in that he could get to the rooftops faster than Blue Slime. Blue Slime can do it easily.
Easy stretch and swing really, really quickly.
Yes, Blue Slime is capable. Yeah. He can stretch his arm all the way up to the top of the skyscraper, but he couldn't shoot out a web or something to get him up there.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I would say that Slime has an advantage, but it's extremely hard for him to win once again.
And there's also another factor. It also comes down to whose power is more dangerous to a large population. You've got Blue Slime, who would probably overpopulate everything with his copies of himself, but then you've also got Slime with his, slime balls and all that.
Yeah, ultimately the slime balls
and his weapons. He carries weapons that Blue Slime does not carry.
Yeah, that's the thing. He really has to watch out with that. Which, if he can be really careful, if he can't, that's an if. It's like the world's biggest if. If he can be careful enough to find a perfect opportunity where there's no one going to no one that's going to actually be in the way to get hurt. He could get him off guard for maybe like 3 seconds. In which case, if he slips just an inch with that Sonic Outburst device,
he'll hurt himself.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But in those 3 seconds, if he can get it right, with no obstructions...
Which he can, he's capable. I mean, he's a leader of H.U.U.
He might be able to at least knock him down. At least knock Blue Slime down.
And that would be enough.
Yes.
But this is also a big if, just like...
Yes.
As Sam said. And that's not to say that that's the only way he can win. That's a best case scenario.
Yeah, that's like his best opportunity. But oh gosh,
if he misses that opportunity, or even worse, doesn't even go for it, then I could still see him winning because he does have that. He can get on the rooftops faster, so he's got the speed advantage. They're both agile enough not to be able to hurt each other.
Mm-hmm.
So in this situation, despite Slime's powers and weapons that he carries being arguably more destructive than Blue Slime's, I'd still give it to him, even if his initial win outright strategy fails. I think that he could outlast Blue Slime in this situation.
I would say that he has more advantage in the first situation. Like, basically, I wouldn't say that he has like a 51% advantage. I would say maybe it's like 55 or so. But the thing is that that's still so dangerous that in that 55%, there's still that window that some innocent person could get hurt.
Right.
And that does not follow the morals that Slime has. So if he sees that someone could get hurt, he's going to pull himself out immediately, no matter who he's fighting. So he really has to be careful. He has to find that perfect chance.
And he's on a clock, too, because, as we know, Blue Slime has slightly better endurance. He's less likely to starve to death.
Yeah, so he has to do it fast. He has to find the right opportunity, and he has to take the opportunity when it comes.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
he does outspeed him, so even Blue Slime's questionable advantage in just natural strength would be put into question here, because the speed advantage, you could just run away.
Yeah.
Running is still fighting, in a way.
Yeah, it's just an evasive maneuver.
Yeah.
So this one is, once again, a toss-up, but I think that the advantage goes to not Blue Slime, Slime.
Yeah.
Green Slime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Slime does get the very slight advantage, though this one is perhaps even more variable than the other.
Yeah, that's the thing. Alright, so I guess we can move on to our next one then. Alright, so our third one is a abandoned city.
So picture not necessarily the same city, but a very similar one with lots of high rises, lots of high buildings.
But let's say everyone abandoned it for years.
Yeah, so there's no one there except them. They're the only two people in this entire city.
Yeah.
Now this is the one that the advantage comes pretty clear.
Yeah. So the one thing I was holding Slime back in the last one was the fact that other people get hurt. In this one, where there's no one getting hurt, the only thing that's going to get hurt is the buildings. He could just let loose. And so can actually Blue Slime in that fact, because he can multiply faster.
Right. But at the expense of certain things that he would need.
Right.
So if Blue Slime, I can see this going two ways for Blue Slime. Blue Slime could either try and multiply, which is his MO. He would, under most situations, he would try and overwhelm the opponent with as many copies of himself as he could, because he knows that's
kind of like Ultron style.
Yeah, exactly, Ultron style.
Yeah.
That's his MO. Yeah. But against Slime, he's aware that their endurance is relatively on par in their regular states. Variables come to play when you take into account their powers, which use up more durability, more everything.
Yeah.
Like his multiplying. His multiplying would, in fact, cut his stamina in half over time, which is dangerous. I mean, he could probably will himself to keep going for a good amount of that time, because he is, he's an athlete. He's aggressive.
Yeah.
But his body would give out eventually.
That's true. I mean, the abandoned city is very interesting. I mean, like on one hand, you have Slime, where the one thing is holding him back is no longer there. So you'd think, oh yeah, I can totally take it. But on the other hand, Blue Slime is also Blue Slime is also being held back as well. The fact that it's so populated, and the fact that kind of puts a hindrance on his multiplication ability. So now he can easily do that.
And if you think about it, having multiple copies of yourself could, in a way, cancel out some of the Sonic Outburst effects.
Yeah, because they could be so wide.
You got a whole city to work with here.
Right.
I highly doubt the Sonic Outburst covers an entire city.
No. If anything, you just cover barely one building.
Exactly. So if you think about it, if he's smart enough, plans ahead, and assumes that Slime would go for this, which he can.
It would take a lot of strategic planning.
It would.
Sure.
Blue Slime's capable of it, and if he's got this many copies, he could use certain copies as like decoys, while the other copies are strategizing.
Yeah.
He could do that. And he could spread himself wide enough so that no matter how many Sonic Outbursts he uses, there's always going to be that backup spare in the trunk.
And once again, I mean, this is one where Slime has to act very, very fast. Like, just as the battle begins, he has to activate it.
Right. He has to do it before it gets too carried away.
Right. And if he can't, then Blue Slime takes it. But if he can, Slime takes it.
So the question is he smart enough to go for it early? He is, though. I think he is.
Yeah, I'd say
this
he is.
Harry Walker.
I'd say he is. The only thing is that the question is, as he's taking it out, will another copy of Blue Slime come up from behind?
That's true.
So basically, as he sees Blue Slime, he has to activate it.
Yes, it's not even like he doesn't have time to think about it. He just activate it.
It has to be a natural reaction. Otherwise, Blue Slime gets it.
Which, if you think about it, how natural would that be? He doesn't
has to propel it out of his arm.
Yeah,
and then bam. So,
And he doesn't really use that ability very often.
to be honest, I would say from the time that he sees him, the time that his window's over, he would probably have like 2.5 seconds total to finish him off.
But again, this is if blue slime multiplies. There's a chance he won't because it does reduce his stamina over time. So the question is, does blue slime risk it and does slime risk it? And which of those combinations is the most likely?
So this one is really split down the middle.
Yeah.
It's really like, depending on the risk taken, it goes either way.
So who's more likely to risk? I'd say Alex.
To be honest, yes.
I'd say Alex is more likely. Because slime, in my mind, is more reserved and patient.
Yeah, although then it comes into the decision of how are you going to use the environment to your advantage with that.
Well, I mean, I think
I could like knock the foundation off with the sonic outburst of a building.
Yeah,
but
he could. That would take out more than one building. Probably.
Yeah, so that would seriously help him. But the thing is that once again, it's a question of how would Blue Slime react to that. If he doesn't react fast enough or well enough, Slime takes it. So it's really all about the risks taken in this one, which is a toss-up.
Yep.
You can't tell how they're going to do it. I mean, except for us, because we decide. But
even us are strong.
Yeah,
right
we can't actually decide though.
Yeah.
We really just have to leave it up to the characters, but that's hard. Yeah. So that's the thing. This fight is really toss-up between the risks. I mean, if Slime saw that Blue Slime was already taking risks, he would take a risk as well.
Yes. And on top of that, Harry Walker, Alex is not an idiot. He's actually quite intelligent. He's a straight A student, he always has been, and then he got formal H.U.U. training, so he's very intelligent. But even still, Harry Walker is the next level.
He's like a scientific mind.
Yeah,
in a 15-year-old body.
He's comparable to the early works of Zach Bolt.
Right.
So I have a good feeling that despite the disadvantages and advantages in this, Harry Walker would make better choices.
He would make better choices, but the thing is that his choices would be dependent on Blue Slime's actions.
That's right, but what I'm saying is like Harry would find that 1 in 5 choices that he has and choose the right one because, or not necessarily that he would or wouldn't, but he's more likely to do it.
Yes, he thinks about things better and faster.
Yes, it is a toss-up, that is true, and it's pretty much 50-50.
Yeah.
But when considering their mindsets and how they work, he'd have to wait for Blue Slime to react, which would probably cancel out that initial movement that he could make with the risk. He probably wouldn't take that risk.
Yeah.
So it would turn into a longer fight. But in the end, I'd say that he'd find a way out of it just because his brain is better.
One thing's for sure, though. This one does have a victor. But it really depends on the risks.
There's no way that they could draw and just...
Yeah, this one has a clear victor, but it isn't determined just from the fight. It's determined on the risks that they individually take.
Yes.
Which is just as unpredictable as anything else. So this one's really 50-50.
We're going to have to give it to someone, though. Don't we?
Maybe.
I think we do, just for the sake of...
Alright,
because this is an odd... We have an odd number.
Yeah, we picked 5 specifically.
I'd say Harry.
Yeah,
I'd say...
I guess so, yeah, because his thought process, I guess, is better.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I mean, if we're basing this off of a mental thing, because that's the real factor here.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Who's got the better mind?
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Unlike the other situations, or at least so far,
it's really physical.
More physical, yeah.
Yeah, and this
physical
one,
advantages. Who's got the better body? This is the mind one.
Yeah, with risk, it's emotional and social, and it's all in your head. And that's really where Harry excels. So yeah, I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah, I'd say. For the sake of giving someone a win.
Yeah, just because we have to give someone a win here, I think it's fine.
Yeah, but still, it's technically even.
Yeah, in a scientific sense, I would say it's even. But as for this, I would say go for Slime.
All right, so that's
Okay. And then fourth. Up now we have
in a
in a
building.
building. this is like such a weirdly phrased one. What are you fighting? In a building.
So imagine, I mean, it could. Let's just say it's a skyscraper.
Yeah, like a bunch of office space, maybe.
Yeah. And this skyscraper is made of titanium because if it weren't,
they can't
probably
punch their way out of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't last. And
maybe they might be able to punch themselves out of a window, but otherwise, no.
Let's just say for the sake of this that the windows cannot be broken, the walls cannot be broken.
It is shatterproof glass.
There is no door. No door that's accessible. Basically, what we're trying to say
we're in like lockdown mode on this building.
Yes.
Nothing's getting in or out.
What we're trying to say is that this is an indoor fight, meaning that Blue Slime's first instinct to get outside and evade any of Slime's weaponry.
So it's a lot harder for him to spread out because now he has to spread up.
Yes, he has to spread up, which would be quite difficult, and on top of that, he's cornered with a man with better weaponry than him.
Right.
He doesn't want to be cornered.
And once again,
Slime needs open space to function.
Slime's abilities could give him an advantage here, only if he could easily like punch through the floors or whatever. Which he could use the Sonic Outburst device to punch through the floors and everything, but once again, that's also very risky.
Right. Now, would that really do anything in the end? Because they both have that healing factor.
No. I mean, well, what it would really do is it would give him just an opportunity to evade, but that's it. Because he would just have a little bit more space.
I think in this one,
but
Slime
otherwise,
would be the one evading. Slime would be the aggressor in this situation.
Right.
Because he knows that Harry has no. Alex has no weapons on him. Harry does. Harry has the freeze ray. In this situation, he can corner.
Actually, yeah. I mean, if there are like office cubicles or whatever, he could actually potentially corner him.
Yes,
I didn't think about that.
Right,
that's right.
He doesn't only have the lack of mobility that Blue Slime has, but he's also got advantages in his own right.
Yeah, that's true.
The weaponry. Mm-hmm. He doesn't only need to rely on that Sonic Outburst. He can also use his freeze ray, which could also be devastating to a slime.
Yeah, and I mean, let's say Blue Slime decides to throw something at Slime. He's got other weaponry on him. He has a laser cannon that he can just attach to his arm. He's got a lightsaber, basically. Not really a lightsaber, but similar to a lightsaber.
For the sake of this podcast, it's a lightsaber.
We'll just say it's a lightsaber, but if Disney asks, it's not a lightsaber. Wink, wink. But yeah, so I mean, he could defend himself pretty well in this kind of situation because it is based off of fast actions and small space.
Right, and like we said many times before, Blue Slime is essentially what Slime could be, but in an open space.
Right.
He needs open space to function. His mobility is hampered, his multiplication is hampered, and he's cornered to a point where a freeze ray can harm him.
And I can't believe I even forgot about this, but the fact that Slime can melt. I mean, that's the first ability I ever gave Slime.
Oh, that's
the ability to melt. So if he needs to, he can just go shwink, and now he's like flat as a pancake.
Right, that would be very beneficial in a building like this.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, with
lots of tight spaces.
He might not be able to jump really high, but then he can melt really low.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's actually true. He does have the evade advantage for sure.
Although there is one variable for Blue Slime.
Yeah.
Does he grab Slime's weaponry? They're close enough.
And that's the question.
There's so few spaces to dodge. Say they're in a corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
He could easily just walk up to Slime as the superior attacker. He's slightly better at offense than Slime.
Yeah, he can try to rip it off his arm.
I mean, if Blue Slime gets creative, which he's capable of doing, he wouldn't just brutishly punch Slime because he knows that they both have that healing factor.
Right.
And because he does have that slight offensive advantage, he could easily use that directed toward his weaponry and then turn it against Slime. Because they do have the same training.
It really
he's capable of using those weapons.
Well, that really just depends on how cautious Slime is. Like, if he's cautious enough, he would melt down fast. Like, faster than he could grab it. If he's not, though, if he's too blinded by the fact that he's about to win, he could very well lose the Sonic Outburst device and then have it used against him. So it really just depends. Because, I mean, anyone could get blinded by that. And, I mean, in a situation like this, if he's already really winning, he might just get sidetracked by it, completely forget about the fact that he can melt down as he's already grabbing it.
then in that case, I suppose what this comes down to, or at least the initial where would this fight go kind of thing, where are they entering the building from? Is it top person and bottom person? Is it next to each other, like they're walking next to each other? Or is it like they enter from opposite sides of the building and then the doors shut forever?
That's a good question.
I mean, that depends. If they're on opposite sides, Slime would get the advantage because he's got his weapons and they're at a distance. If they're right next to each other, Blue Slime has the advantage because he can just grab them.
That's true.
I feel that Blue Slime is faster than his melting reaction anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that also depends on the distance apart. I mean, if they're literally standing shoulder to shoulder, you would be able to grab them for you.
Yeah, I'm saying but if it would start at punching distance. Yeah, or it could start at.
But if there's 2 feet in between them, he might be able to melt just as say his hand goes right over him.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on how far away they are from each other when the fight begins.
So. I mean, if we're doing this fairly, it should probably be about 10 to 15 feet, right?
I guess so.
I'd say about 10 to 15 feet. Yeah. If you think about the space,
normally most duels start off on different ends and go up to each other.
Exactly. If you think about I don't know.
First thing that comes to mind is a Harry Potter duel, where they're both facing each other from opposite ends of a table or whatever. They often jump up and just pull out their wands and fight each other. They might get closer or whatever.
Yeah. Well. Nothing specific comes to mind.
But
I see what you're saying. But typically battles are fought when on equal ground like this at opposite ends of whatever space they're in.
And then they usually draw closer to each other if it's a fist fight or it's a long range, a distance or whatever.
That way it does open up possibilities of long and close range.
That's true.
And there would be no need to back off, giving the close range person an advantage.
Right.
So, in the sake of fairness, I'd say about 15 feet difference.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And that's enough for Slime to...
That's enough for him to melt down.
But Slime did not take the risk, or we decided that he's less likely to.
Yeah, that's true.
In the earlier battle, so why would he do it here?
Well, is this building full of people?
No, it's just a building. But still, I find it unlikely, because in the abandoned city, he did not activate right away.
Yes, that is true.
He took time. So, keeping in mind that
you have to wait to see what he does.
Yeah, he's more of a reactor, and Blue Slime's more of an actor.
Yeah, which means that basically Slime, really his best opportunity at the beginning would be to melt down, to evade him, to see how he does things.
Despite that he already knows him fairly well. They've never really engaged.
No, because they don't fight each other. They're really good friends. So I mean, if he all of a sudden sees that Blue Slime's seriously trying to kill him, he would all of a sudden come up. If he's far enough away, then he would activate it, and there you go. If not, then Blue Slime could get it.
Now that I think about it, but freeze ray would be irrelevant in the first moments of the fight.
Yes, it would be. Yes.
Because Blue Slime is fast enough and agile enough to get around that.
And it's not one position. It's not 15 feet is farther than the ray can reach.
Right, but Blue Slime's MO is to get closer, so he would get closer.
Yeah, that's true.
Would get closer. No, he doesn't have to multiply. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
He can only multiply a couple times per 4. And that's nothing.
You're right. This is an interesting one. They're all interesting ones, but this one in particular because of the fact that
it's in a building.
And instead of being a horizontal fight, as they all have been, it's purely vertical.
Oh, that's interesting. What if Slime drove out the initial Blue Slime on the floor that he's on? Say they're on the first floor. That's logical. First floor.
Yeah, right.
Blue Slime somehow makes his way up with other copies, multiplies on higher floors.
Rather than have him getting sent down?
Not just sent down, but sonically sent down. He uses a sonic outburst upward to knock the floors down. It wouldn't really harm the Blue Slimes, as they do have a healing factor, but it would off-balance them enough to use the freeze ray.
It would definitely annoy them.
While they're healing, while they're in a pile full of rubble, that's a perfect time to meld it together with ice.
Yeah, you just go and then
with the sound effects.
Yeah, sound effects not included. But yeah, so I would say that if that was the case, then Slime could beat him. But yeah, it really just depends on how far they ultimately get and how Blue Slime acts.
So in that case, what do we think?
Let's see, if Blue Slime was smart enough, he would try to do something where he wouldn't put him in that situation.
He would.
But the question is, is he smart enough to realize that?
In fact, he's absolutely smart enough to realize it, and his reflexes are physically fast enough that he could probably evade the initial attack from Slime. I see it that Slime... Well, you know what? I take back what I said before. to a degree, it's still there, but I do think Slime would go for the Sonic Outburst right away, because they're in a confined space and they're alone.
Yeah.
And he's close enough that it would be very difficult to dodge.
That is true. That is true.
So, I mean, it's still there. It's still more hesitant, but initially, I do feel that Slime would be attacking first.
Yeah, he would probably give it about half a second, and then he'd strike.
And I'd say about half a second is enough for Blue Slime to either get out of the way or get on the floor with a copy.
Yeah, I agree.
Blue Slime is capable of sending his copies out of his body about 10 feet or so away from him. And the 10 feet, if he sends it upward, could be enough to either break through the ceiling or, I don't know, go up
an elevator,
I don't know.
Staircase.
Yeah, staircase. It's enough to get up to the next floor in time.
Yeah.
Or not even the next floor. It could be enough to just get to a safer location to get up to the next floor.
Yeah.
And he can continue multiplying from there and just have many fail-safes.
Yeah, that's true. So what do we get to them?
Question is what happens after that, because I do believe that scenario is most likely. I'd say the floor thing happens over time. Maybe not initially. Maybe there would be a Blue Slime or two fighting Slime in close range trying to get the weapons, while the others calculate what to do on higher floors where they believe it is safer.
Yeah, and if Slime knows that they're up there,
which he will.
Yeah, thing is that
very least he'll try to knock them down.
Yeah. Thing is that he's really smart. If he doesn't see them going up, he can at least assume.
Yeah, he knows Alex well enough.
Yeah, he can just assume, oh, he's probably trying to put them safer, or whatever, or he'll notice maybe, hey, he seems a little bit weaker. He must have split himself off. I don't see any other copies. They must be above.
Yes.
So then he would do that. I think that actually is pretty likely.
Yeah, I'd say by then, I mean, considering they're in a building and there's probably, I don't know, a certain number of floors.
It's probably like 70 floors or so on a skyscraper.
I guess.
An average skyscraper is probably like that.
Yeah, like 70, 60, something like that. Yeah. Considering that, I'd say he's got about 200 copies at that point, all dispersed throughout the floor waiting for Slime to go up there. But he doesn't go up there. He uses his Sonic Outburst thingy.
Yeah, he can probably knock out a few floors at a time with that.
Yeah, and a few floors. I mean, the first one would definitely be successful. He'd freeze those blue slimes.
Yeah.
He'd use his freeze ray to freeze them.
In which case, they're all weaker, because now they don't have the numbers, but they're still weak.
Right. What happens... Yeah, they're still weakened. They can regroup, but...
Because they're frozen over.
Yeah, it wouldn't be enough. So, I'd say after that, the other slimes would regroup in their floors, so there'd be like 1 or 2 slimes per floor.
And then it's just a matter of Slime going from floor to floor.
Yeah, well, does he do that, or does he continue? Because, I don't know, I feel like Blue Slime would, at least some of the Blue Slimes would know.
Yeah. Well,
They know what's happening.
He could easily just hop up through the holes in the floor that he just punched through.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, if he knew that there were more up there, he would. That's a tactical advantage.
He doesn't necessarily know, though. But I'm sure check. There's no reason not to check.
Right. So if he at least has speculation that they're up there, he would try.
Yeah.
That's who he is. If he thinks that there's something available, he's a scientist. That's what he does all the time. If he thinks, hey, this could work, he tries it. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. If it works, then there you go.
So he would check, but does he go up by foot, or does he...
He'd probably blast a hole and then swing his arm up and pull himself up.
Alright, I can see that.
Because he'd probably want to get there as fast as possible.
Right.
And wouldn't waste his time on the stairs.
If that were I can agree with that, but if that were the case, I doubt blue slimes would be just waiting.
No.
They'd probably be hiding in the corners where it's least likely to be blown up.
And the slime would actually have to search.
Yeah, he'd search, and in that time, that's enough time for them to remultiply and outnumber him.
Right. In which case, he could do multiple things. He could hop down a floor, blow them from underneath while they're trying to get down. He could...
But that's not blue slime strategy. He doesn't put all of his copies in one pile.
Yeah.
He always leaves a copy or two in reserve.
That's true.
So it wouldn't defeat him, but I can see him being reckless because he realizes that, hey, if I keep waiting and hiding, he's just going to blow me up.
Right.
So I need to get down there. I need to make piles of myself and try and pile on him. So
I agree with that.
So slime would probably go down and retreat because he's outnumbered and outmatched by the number of people. Though all those people's stamina are slowly deteriorating slightly faster. So keep that in mind. His stamina is hampered a bit when he multiplies. Not a lot, but a bit. So all those people are getting slightly sloppy. But still, it wouldn't be too much. He'd go down. As he's going down, he's pointing back up, expecting them to follow. I'd say about half go down.
I feel like the last one has to go down, though.
Right. I'm saying half go down as a decoy, the other half go down the stairs.
Yeah. And you wouldn't be expecting to go down the stairs.
Right. So half go down the stairs.
He'd be caught off guard from that.
Then you still got those copies up there, and it would probably be a rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
To a point. Eventually, tactics would change, but in essence, it would end up being very similar.
Yeah. Although, then it becomes a question of, is slime able to slowly take out copy by copy to get him weaker and weaker? If he is, then he might be able to beat him.
That's very interesting. It seems that all of these are coming into endurance and stamina.
That's the thing. I mean, if slime is able to do that with like knocking the floor and then freezing him over, if he can keep doing that, which probably won't be able to do that for long, then he might be able to get him weaker and weaker. Which would be easier to beat him. But the thing is, he'd have to change up his tactics each time.
Right.
Which would begin to be really hard.
But who would run out of ideas first? Probably not slime.
Yeah, actually.
He's the experimenter.
Yeah, he experiments. If there's something that he's unsure of, he tries it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see one or two of them backfiring, but he'd be more creative in this situation.
Yeah, and I mean... Also, it kind of depends on what this building is. I mean, if there's for instance, if there's like chemicals or whatever in the building, if it's something that he knows, he actually might be able to use that to his advantage. Make something else creatively, use that to knock off more copies.
Yep.
Yeah, so I would say that he can get creative like that, and he can keep knocking down more and more. But the thing is that now you have blue slime's side of that, where at what point does he start to anticipate things?
Oh, I'm sure he anticipated the second slime walked into the building.
Yeah.
But does he predict it correctly?
Yeah.
I'd say he does.
Yeah.
And it gets more and more accurate over time.
It would also require, if he can predict it right, it would require slime to get even more creative with that. Do something completely out of the ordinary to keep knocking down more. And if he can't, then if he keeps doing the repeat, then blue slime would be able to the best him.
Yeah, but I don't
anticipate that.
I don't think he would repeat.
No, that's the thing. I don't think he would repeat. But the thing is that the question is he able to change it up?
I just thought of something. Slime experiments. What if one of those experiments costs him a weapon or two? It's possible.
That could happen.
He's risky in that sense.
Yeah.
Blue slime is too, but not in that sense. But he would go for the weapon, as we've said. That would be his main goal. He'd try and take slime's biggest advantage away from him. So he'd probably...
Yeah, that's the thing. Other tactic that comes to mind that slime might do is if he knows that blue slime is trying to take his weapons away from him, he could, if there's not many of the copies left, like if he doesn't have a whole lot left to do, but he's running out of things that he can do, what I would imagine that he would do is he would purposely put something in the weapons or whatever so that once he grabs it, it can act like a bomb, or it could do something actually to him.
Yeah.
I would imagine, so I could very well see Slime doing that. And in fact, I have actually storylines where he does do things like that. That's a little bit of a preview for you guys.
Well, I guess in the end, this is a battle of wits and creativity.
Yeah, it is. Well, with creativity and endurance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And stamina.
Yeah.
As they all are.
Darn it.
Well, that's just the nature of these characters.
Yeah. That's just what the slimes are. Oh man, this is a tough one. It's getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah. Well, I think we're putting more and more thought into it.
Oh my gosh.
I'd say, I'm gonna have to give this to Blue Slime, surprisingly. He's probably less creative directly, but with those number of copies, each copy is more and more likely to think of something different.
Right.
So he could probably, Slime is smarter as a 1, but as 1,000.
1,000 heads are better than 1?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have 1,000, but he probably had at least 100.
Yeah.
So I'd say Blue Slime. Slightly. It can go either way, but I'd say 100 heads beat 1, despite the 1 being smarter than just one of them.
I would say that it could easily go either way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I would say that you would have an advantage in that fact, also in the fact that he could out-endure him in a situation like this.
And I'd say endurance and stamina are less of a factor here than the others, in which multiplying
for instance,
does...
the flat.
Yeah, the flat one, a lot of endurance required, a lot of stamina.
It's all endurance and stamina.
Yeah, and I mean, his multiplying ability that's the one thing. It's fast, it can get a copy out of him instantly almost, but it does take a lot of his natural substance out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing, and if Slime is able to keep knocking them down, one by one, then it slowly deteriorates that.
But the question is, how long can you keep that up against an H.U.U. member?
That's the question.
I'd still give it to Blue Slime.
Yeah, I would say by a less than 1% advantage.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would give
very small.
Yeah.
Just in the fact that his freeze ray takes time to load up, and his sonic outburst would get old very fast.
Yeah.
There are other ways
he'd be able to adapt to that.
Yeah, there's other ways. You can go through the wall. You can stuff that I wouldn't think.
So I really would say that I do think that Blue Slime. I think that Blue Slime would have a less than 1% advantage. Not much, but under certain conditions, he might be actually able to win.
Yeah, I'd say it's more likely, just considering that he outnumbers them, and he would go for the weapons, which are the turning point in this battle. And I'd say that if Blue Slime could get those weapons, once he had them, it's over, because there's just so many copies. Imagine
and with
100 fake outs. They're all just standing there as if they have the weapon on.
Yeah, I agree.
And Blue Slime would sacrifice himself. That's the one thing he's willing to give up. He'd sacrifice his own copies.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it many times.
Yeah. So I'd say that one would. I'd say that goes to Blue Slime barely.
Yeah, just barely.
Yeah. And then the fifth and final one. This is the confined space.
So
basically
space, just a
small. Basically, it's a tiny little room.
Even smaller than the building. It's just imagine a one-story close quarters situation.
Yeah, so basically maybe just one, basically maybe a master bedroom size.
Yeah. You can't get out because it's all European.
Sure, why
not? Bedroom ever.
No one's breaking into my bedroom.
Or out.
Or out. It's a jail bedroom. But yeah. So this one,
well, that's another one. It could be like a jail cell. So something of that size.
Yeah, well, the only way a jail cell is that, it's bars.
Well, I'm saying of that size.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a visual image of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so the thing with this one is that defenses are very low.
Yeah.
In such a confined
Healing
space.
factor is important, though.
Yeah. Healing factor is important, which gives slime a little bit of an advantage.
Multiplying is not important. Slime balls not important. I'd say even the weapons.
Melting is actually important here, though.
Melting is.
Melting is really important in very, very close combat.
I'd say the weapons are not, though.
No. I mean, they really only come into effect for a finishing blow. Otherwise, nothing.
Yeah, and a finishing blow would be pretty hard to
Yeah.
get. I mean, I can see blue slime's multiplying factor working to a small degree, like 1 or 2 copies extra.
Yeah, because then you could like hold him back or whatever
Yeah,
for
you
a couple seconds.
Like hold his arms down, then the other would punch. But then not multiplying. Melting would come
just
to play.
there he goes. Just melts right down like just a puddle and just squirts along.
Could try to overcrowd the area.
Yeah, although if you overcrowd it like that though, then you can't fight at all.
Right.
So that's a problem. So if I were blue slime, I would be thinking I don't want to make too many copies.
Yeah,
which is a problem.
I'd make it like a 2-on-1.
Yes. But that's easier for slime though, because with his melting ability, he can evade them a lot easier than blue slime would be able to evade him.
But on the other hand, would he want to multiply to reduce his stamina?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because this would, again, come down to stamina and endurance.
Mm-hmm.
The healing factor would hold out for both, no question. Even when they're, like, about to die, they're practically immortal.
Yeah, these guys are, like, I mean...
They're not necessarily
realistically speaking, it's so hard to kill a slime.
Yeah.
It is so hard to kill a slime.
And the funny thing is, they're, like, I'd say about average in our universe.
That's the thing. They're not even our most powerful people, yet
they're almost immortal.
We're not even really going to see them dying ever. Like
whoa.
Well,
I can think of a few. Well,
the thing is, there are some slimes that are going to be more powerful than other slimes, and you'll see who is who. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be some slimes who their healing factor is just going to protect them no matter what.
Almost no matter what. There are a few instances.
Yeah.
But
like,
we're getting a little
off.
Like
the sonic outburst. But yeah. Anyway, we got off topic there. Yeah, this confined space, healing is very important, and evading in a small space is very important. It's a lot harder for blue slime to evade in such a small space, but it's pretty easy for slime.
Slime is more of a close quarters evader when blue slime is more of he needs space to do it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird if you think about it, because blue slime is more of a close quarters fighter than slime is.
Mm-hmm.
So their attack and evasion kind of cancel out there.
Right.
So that's another cancel out effect.
All of these cancel outs, it's like basically nothing happened.
Yeah. And their defenses cancel out because they're both better than either can handle.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that I can really think of slime really doing here would be to knock blue slime off his feet by melting and then just sliding underneath him. Like underneath his feet. But that won't really do a lot.
Yeah.
That's really like the best thing that he can do. And it's not
It's a one-trick pony, just melt under his feet.
Yeah. So
then you just step on him.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, it's like the things that they can do won't do much in this fight. Which is really interesting, because then it's down to, well, can their most basic abilities best each other? Because we're really cutting down their more powerful things.
Yeah, their trademark abilities are gone.
Yeah.
So what it really comes down to, it isn't even the healing factor. Like I said, if you look at the H.U.U. Brawler stats, which keep in mind, those stats are not exactly to scale with the comics or the actual canon. They're more of their own thing. It's a scaled down version. We had to modify certain characters to make it fit in the game. By the way, this is a card game for H.U.U.
Definitely check it out. It's on our website.
Which we'll have a link for in the description.
Yeah.
But, we had to certainly modify some stuff, but for Slime and Blue Slime, it stayed fairly accurate.
Yeah.
You've got their attack. Slime is an average attacker. He's got 470 attack. His defense is 600.
Amazing defense.
And
I was the one who recommended that, by the way.
Then you've got Blue Slime, who's got 480 attacks, slightly above average, but it's not 600. His defense still cancels out the attack and some. And then you've got Blue Slime, who has a slightly worse defense. I believe it's about 580, if I remember. I could be wrong on that, though. but still better than 470. So cancel out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, these two, for whatever reason, like we designed the other ones. Like I designed slime, he designed blue slime, and the thing is, I have a feeling when we were designing each of these, something clicked in our minds where we decided we're going to make them perfectly evenly matched.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's exactly
what we did.
I remember.
Like that's what we did, and now that I'm thinking, we're like, oh my gosh, we can't do this.
Yeah, that's exactly what's in my mind. But that's what makes this interesting.
Yeah, this close combat one though. This is the deciding one.
Well, another H.U.U brawler stat which is fairly accurate is their health points.
Yes.
You've got slime with 680, which is way below average. And then you've got blue slime, which is also below average, but 700.
Yeah.
So
that means that their base, they're weak, but once they use their abilities, that's when they get more powerful.
Mm-hmm. Their abilities are what make them, but still, you do have that slight health advantage in blue slime, which might have some impact.
Yeah, well, the only thing is that with slime's melting, he might be able to negate that, because he might be able to melt down and just get out of the way and then harm him.
Well, if you think about it, health, and this is where it gets a little fuzzy in terms of accuracy, doesn't only act as a lifespan type of thing, but also as like an endurance mark and a stamina mark. So blue slime does have a slightly, his stamina is not better or worse, but it's longer lasting, I guess, when he doesn't use his abilities that drain it.
Mm-hmm.
Because his multiplying ability would make it go down. He'd be like a regular person by the end. But if he does not use those, then his endurance is arguably marginally superior.
Yeah. Well, the only thing with that is, like, once again, slime's really best ability is to trip by melting.
He doesn't have space to like. Well, actually, no. He could probably like toss him against a wall or something.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that if slime can be fast enough, he can melt, go under his feet, trip him. As he's getting up, trip him again. He's getting up, trip him again.
Which wouldn't really.
It wouldn't do anything. The thing is that it would knock him down long enough for slime to actually try to do something more significant.
It would probably knock his confidence a few notches.
Yeah.
Although then you've got blue slime, who is a slightly better attacker.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't need a melting ability to do that stuff.
No.
But it also.
But if he already is melted, it's not going to do anything to him.
But would he be melted the entire fight?
If slime considered that to be his best opportunity, he would be. If he had other ideas that he thought might be better, then he would change it.
Would he think that?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I've already, like, in the past, I've had scripts for comic books in my head, and I've thought of this one. I don't know where I'm going to use it, but I thought of it just because I thought it was a cool scene where slime melts down, and then basically there's this room full of people that he's trying to beat up, and he just goes underneath all of them. They all get knocked over. He gets up, and then he just goes underneath them all again as they're trying to get back up. And then he gets up, and then he goes underneath them again. And at that point, they're so beaten and bruised that they just give up. If you use a tactic like that, me and Blue Slime wouldn't get beaten and bruised, but he might be able to get him down long enough to actually do something.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the question is will Blue Slime's stamina actually help him if he's already down? Like, let's say he's down, that doesn't necessarily mean he's out.
Right. And I wouldn't say his stamina helps. I'd say it's more endurance at that point.
Yeah.
He could probably endure those assaults.
Yeah, that's true.
So Slime would be, I mean, he uses energy to do that stuff, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be wasting energy.
I mean, he does have increased stamina, so it does help him.
Right, so but so does Blue Slime. They both have that.
That's the thing. I mean, well, he wouldn't necessarily be using up everything he has for melting down, because that doesn't just waste a whole lot.
But it's something.
But But the thing is, if he's doing that for hours upon hours, then eventually, yes,
It's like
he would be
got
passed
a
out.
reserve of water, and you just take a glass with you and drink like one at a time. Eventually,
Yeah.
the reservoir will get
Eventually,
smaller.
but it's a matter of if he can do it fast enough, if he gets into a point where he's down long enough
to do something.
to do something. But that's if he can do it fast enough.
But what would he do in a room like that?
I mean, he could try to just back up and use the sonic outburst, or he could try to use the freeze ray. The freeze ray is short range.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah, freeze ray is short range.
Yes, that is a huge advantage.
Yeah, but the thing is also it requires a warm up, so that means that he needs to get him down long enough for it to warm up.
A warm up slow enough for blue slime to multiply. His copy would not be as injured as he is. Make another copy and then hold him down long enough for the original to grab a weapon.
Yeah, so that's the thing. He needs to get him down long enough so that he's winded or whatever, so he's caught off guard.
And still not be winded in himself.
Yeah, still not be winded. So it's really a question of does he have that in him? Which, I mean, he's never actually had to do that before. So no one really knows if he actually has that in him. He might.
You would know.
He might, if he really digs deep. I mean, I guess things have shown that if you really dig deep, then a lot of things like that are possible.
I'd say he does.
But yeah,
just from my point of view.
Yeah.
I'd say he has it in him, but I'd also say blue slime has it in him to endure that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, he would need him down long enough. What I would imagine is he would do it so much that he's down for, say, a second and a half. And if the freeze ray requires 2 seconds to warm up, he'd get it warmed up, and then all of a sudden another copy would grab him. He might even misfire, but it would fire.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
I can see it firing, and I can see it doing something devastating.
It might. I would see it like I think that if he does that, he could fire. The question is that will he make the shot, or will the copies make it misfire? That's the thing. That's the thing.
I'd say misfire initially. I'd say as the fight goes on, he'd probably repeat it at some point.
Yeah, and if blue slime's already winded and everything, then he could probably.
I'd say in the end, it would probably not misfire at some point.
At some point, yeah, and then
in a fight,
once he has that leg up, then he can do it.
Yeah. In fact, it probably wouldn't take him to just go back and forth that many times. Just do it once, twice, and then maybe I don't know, spin him around a few times.
Yeah, so
and then
he's just
while
disoriented.
While he's disoriented, activate your weapon, and it might not activate in time, but blue slime, he'll probably try and attack and get the weapon away from you before it does.
But hey, you might get one of the copies.
But why would that hurt you if you're about to activate the weapon? It's already been activated. It's warming up. It's charging at you. It's a close range weapon.
I know we're not as smart as Harry Walker at all. He's like a boy genius. So he would already have realized this. I mean, this went way over our heads. We almost forgot about the freeze ray entirely.
Yeah.
So he would be anticipating that already.
Yeah, he would have already been activating it before this even happened. He'd probably be activating it as he made that initial movement.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows that in a confined space, doesn't matter how agile you are, you're still confined.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't copy infinite times in such a small area.
And he only really needs to freeze one of them to also make him weaker to be able to do it again. Because once he freezes one of them, blue slime's weaker.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's easier to do it again.
Exactly.
And once he keeps doing it, that's it.
And the more copies he brings to the table, the more likely it is he'll hit something.
Yeah.
And in close range, where blue slime is most effective as a close range fighter.
That's true.
I'm giving it to slime.
Yeah, actually, if it went like that, which it probably would, be considering how slime thinks, he would probably win.
Yeah. Alright, so if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's 3 for blue slime.
Yeah, because I think at the populated city, the abandoned city, as well as the confined space, and then blue slime got the flat and the building. Right?
No, I think it was the other way. No, I think it was blue slime had...
Yeah, blue slime had the flat and the building. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then slime had the populated city, the abandoned city, and the confined space.
Did he? I thought blue slime had populated. We'll check the footage and put like a thing on the screen or whatever. I'm pretty sure blue slime had 3 though.
Did he?
I think so.
Yeah, in the populated city, wasn't it like what? He would have to get him up onto a rooftop, at which point it's harder for Blue Slime to use his multiplication. And okay, now this has been going on for such a long time.
Let's just call it there, and
yeah, but I mean, ultimately, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, so we've offered our thoughts, our opinions as the creators of these characters, but what it really comes down to is your votes. So
yeah,
let us know in the comments who do you think wins this.
If you have like a decision of like some kind of scenario that you want to say, go ahead and leave it below.
Did we forget something? We might have. I mean,
we might have forgot some little detail.
Yeah.
We just forgot exactly who won which ones.
Yeah. We'll know by the time this video is over and you're watching it. Well, there's probably something on the screen or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so leave any comments you have below. If you enjoyed this, which I think I enjoyed this.
I love this. This is great.
This is so interesting.
And if you did enjoy this, you'll definitely love our Versus series.
And does anyone else?
This is in fact an extension of a verdict.
Does anyone else want to see this in the comics?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. But
I mean, I want to see this. I don't know where it would come up or why, but I want to see this.
Yeah, I've got a few ideas in mind for possible situations, like certain stories. Certain stories which should not be revealed at this time. But I do have some in mind.
Yeah.
When this might take place, or something of this nature.
But
yeah, I mean, we don't really have a set plan for any of that stuff right now, or not the story I'm thinking of, but a series dedicated to having our characters fight in situations such as this.
If you want to see this, then leave your suggestions. We'd love to hear it. We're always looking for other suggestions.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for a while unless it gets a ton of support, because we do have our main
a lot of other things coming. We're currently working on H.U.U. Volume 1. That is still going. Can we announce other things yet?
I think we can announce Battlesuit.
Yeah, we're working on Battlesuit. That's right. If you guys are fans of Battlesuit, like me, then look on our website pretty soon, because Battlesuit will be coming.
Battlesuit H.U.U. And if you want to hear more about Battlesuit, check out our first Versus video.
Yes.
Osmar versus Battlesuit.
Yes.
It is before we had a good mic, so
yeah, that's true.
But it is, it's a very interesting battle with two of our most beloved characters.
Yes.
In a one-on-one situation. It was a very interesting fight.
Do we have anything else to announce? We can announce at this point.
Issue 3 is nearly complete.
Yes, that is coming up very, very soon.
Sam is the one finishing it up.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, you have what, part of the page left?
Less than half a page.
All right. So
yeah.
It works for years.
And trust me, it is worth it. It's an extremely, extremely good issue.
It makes our first
one love
terrible.
They're
not bad though. They're not bad. They're just not as good.
Yeah.
And then issue 4, I might put an image on screen for that.
Issue 4 is coming along.
I'm soon that one. And issue
5 will be coming after that, and then issue 6.
Yeah, I'm working on sketching issue 6 as we speak.
Yeah.
So.
And there are other series that are coming that we are finalizing the details to. I don't think we're gonna reveal those yet.
Yeah, let's wait on that.
Yeah, but be sure to look for more H.U.U. stuff, and for Battlesuit, that is what I'm really excited about, because I love Battlesuit.
Yes, Battlesuit H.U.U. It's looking great.
Yes, it is an amazing tale about a arrogant guy named Zach Bolt, who I love very much. It's very high tech, has a very sci-fi feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
best captivating intro.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful looking comic. So I think that you're all gonna love it. If you just love just stories about,
if you love things that are interesting,
if you just love stories that are about like redemption, like personal redemption, and really trying to be the best person you can be, while at the same time trying to hold on to who you are. You'll love this. That's really where all of this comes from. And once again, if you just like interesting stories that make sense, you'll like this one.
Yes.
It's a very interesting story, and I'm pretty sure it makes sense.
Pretty cool powers. Oh, it absolutely makes sense.
I'm pretty sure it makes sense. But yeah.
I think that's it.
I think that might be it for us.
So, thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and stay tuned for upcoming videos. And again, if you like this video, check out our Versus series. It falls directly in line with this. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Alright, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.